Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I hope everyone is having a fantastic and a wonderful day. It's Friday. The week is over. Hurrah! That's about it, really. It's about it, really. We're going to do some more development today in Unity to try and get some things done and actually do the thing I want to be doing. But we will see how it all goes. I absolutely stalled on the last time we're doing this, and probably spent 4 hours trying to do something that shouldn't have taken me that long. But, well, yeah. I feel like it's something I could have done a lot quicker if I had noticed the problem earlier. And I spent probably 4 hours last stream trying to do camera work, trying to get the camera to the thing, and I spent another 4 hours during the week trying to figure this out. And then today, I've spent another 2 hours or so and found a problem with something. The places I was looking was wrong. Basically, that's what it is. Let me show you. Let me show you. Shall we do that? Shall we do that? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this. I will shrink myself down here, and then I will go to this screen instead. And here is Unity. There we go. That's better. That's better. Okay. So. Okay. Play. Let me show you what's actually happened here, and then I will go around and explain what I did, what I did wrong. Dear. So we have this. We have the ability to move our camera. We can hold right click to move our camera out there, and we can use WSD to move it around. The movement doesn't take into account rotation yet. That's fine. Don't worry. We can do that. That's fine. We also got a zoom, but zoom is a bit fast. I need to fix that, but that's fine. However, this is not as easy as it seems when it comes to I was trying to do it all with systems rather than just using mono behaviors. I can do it in mono behaviors, but I want to do it all in systems because I just want to go down that route. I just want to go down the route of doing everything there. It's probably way more effort than needed, but the more I do it, the easier it becomes. So I've had to change up some things here, and I had to take a leaf from the mono behavior way of doing it. So I had before the camera trying to be put into the entity system, and you can't do that. You can't put the camera in the entity system. It's not, you can't do it. I can drag it in here and it works fine. Not a problem. Let's put it in the entity scene. But don't go, it's an entity, works fine, not a problem at all. However, if I unload the entity scene, there's no cameras rendering. And even when you start the game and the game is running, the cameras do not render. It just doesn't work. No matter what I tried to do, I couldn't get it working. So the camera has to live in this standard scene. However, I still want to control it via data from the eye systems. So what I have done is I have a camera movement thing here, which is just an empty game object. And the problem I was having was I was trying to move and rotate this one object. I would try and move it on the obviously the position, and I would try to rotate it on the Y and the Z, all the one object. And of course it doesn't work. If you rotate something on the Y, you can't then rotate it on the Z because the Z isn't the same axis, because it doesn't work that way. You have to rotate it via world space, and world space to local transforms is easy in mono behavior and game objects, not so easy in the entity system. Or it probably is, and I'm just an idiot and didn't know it, although I have found something now which probably means that I could have got it working within like 10 minutes, and because I'm an idiot and didn't realise that there are 2 different versions of transforms. So yeah, but anyway, we have the camera movement system. So this one is responsible for just moving the camera, so WSD moves the camera. The Y rotation is responsible for literally moving on the Y, so rotating round in a circle. If you're looking straight down it, rotating Y. And then we have a rotation Z, which is responsible for up and down movement. And each one of these has a basic script on there and is hit with a tag, so they all get their camera Z tag, camera Y tag, and camera movement tag. So yeah, they're all tagged. That's fine. And in the camera movement tag, we have a camera position, which has the camera position and rotation tag, and that is a point in space that, because this camera movement has the linked entity group, when we move any of these inside here, the children move along with it. So if we move it up and down, this moves up and down. If we rotate it, this rotates, and if we move it, it moves. And then the main camera is being synced to this point, and it's all done in systems. All done in systems. All done in systems. However, let me go to the systems here. Also, let me close that. No Timberborn today, sorry. So we were getting our input actions, and this was working fine and was doing exactly what I wanted to do. And we had another one, if you remember. We had another one which was a mouse zoom delta. So I had a thing where you can look with the joypad or look by holding the right mouse button down, which was a separate input action. That is gone now, because that was the major problem. So down here, this is our move value. This is where we move the camera. This is our look value, and then underneath this we had another one which was the mouse look, where if you hold right click, it would move the camera. The problem is that the mouse look and the look camera were both sending information through, and one was sending minuses and one was sending positives, which means everything cancelled itself out. So when I moved the mouse, one would say the mouse has moved in positive, one would say the mouse moved in negative because of the way I did things, and the item that we're looking at would twitch. It would just twitch back and forward and wouldn't do the thing I was doing. So yeah. So how did I fix that? Well, I found something. In the input actions here. Under the look option here, you can create modifiers, which I didn't know you could do. And the modifier basically means that the binding, which is the thing that happens, so like a keyboard or mouse delta in this case, which is the mouse moving on the screen, only registers if the modifier is registered, which is hold right mouse button. So this will only trigger if we're holding the right mouse button, which means it works. It just does all the things I need to do, which is just fantastic, awesome. We have a mouse position one as well. I would like to try and get this one to trigger if it doesn't have the right mouse button held down, but I don't know how to do that. I need to create a negative one there, so yeah. So that's working there, and that's doing the job there, and that is fine. So now we only have the one look function running rather than two, which means we're not writing and overwriting the same stuff. And then here we get the buffers and add the buffers, and you've seen me do this before. I'm sending data through by creating a buffer, and then basically every time something happens here, the input system just writes to a buffer, and boom, job done. This should be running in the fixed simulation group. I just realised. Can I do this and then do this here? Like that, and then this, I believe the update should run after. No, it should run after all the data's done, shouldn't it? So update there, and then update after type of camera controller system. It should be called update. So, and we learned about this last episode as well, where you can create a sealed partial class inside another class, and it becomes part of the class. So it's only in the scope of this class, so it can't access data from outside of the class, although it is accessing the camera.main transform because it's a system base, so it can do that. Whereas an iSystem cannot do that. So even though it is part of this iSystem, it's an internal. It's a child class is the best way to describe that. The best way for me to show this is if we go into here and into systems, then I hit play. Hopefully that I've done that correctly. I don't know if I want to update the camera in the fix simulation step or not. Not sure. But we go to systems, you'll see fix one here. So the player input system, this is where it's creating all the players, all the player input, so WSD and the right camera, so that all creates the buffers, that's fine. And then here we have the camera controller system, which takes all the buffers into account and does all the things and moves all the stuff that needs to move to. And then afterwards we update the camera position. So you see this is part of the camera control system, but is in the camera control update camera position and rotation. I can't make this any bigger, so yeah. Yeah, so it's still fine, it's still smooth enough. Yeah, it should be fine. Should be fine. I haven't done the middle click, move things around as well, so that's fine. So yeah, we update the camera in the fixed simulation, that's fine, that's not a problem there, so put on. Oh yeah, and it doesn't matter as well because I'm getting the movement buffers, and rather than just overwriting and only using the last movement buffer, I'm actually adding to each one. I don't know why I put an add on that one there, that doesn't matter. So if the movement goes more, if you get more movement data than expected, it will just add it all together and will travel faster, so it should be frame rate independent. Because I'm not doing time dot, I am doing time dot delta time, aren't I? Yeah. So it's not, but the look vector is not, so yeah, okay. The zoom event is one that I need to look at here. So I'm doing magic numbers here for the moment, just trying to get things right. So like the rotation of the camera, and that is magic numbers. We will change this to be user controlled at some point. So you will be able to pick your camera rotation speed, your camera rotation speed, and then your camera zoom speed and stuff. But right now I need to we'll time it by 0.1. It was zooming too fast, so there we go. Put on. The other option, the problem that I had, I now have 3 jobs. Previously I had 1 job doing it all, and what I was trying to do was I was trying to move it. I wasn't doing scale, I was trying to move it and rotate it in the same job with the same thing, and you can't do that. I need to have 3 separate things. So this one moves and scales. No, hang on. Update camera job. No, no. You should not have a zoom. You should not have a zoom. No. Aha. Right. Okay. Okay. It was just set to 0 anyway. So yeah. Yeah. So the movement job moves the movement tag. The Y rotation moves the Y rotation, and the rotation and zoom for the Z. So up and down, and that's also the zoom one. Basically, the zoom is just changing the scale of the final one to make the camera look like it's zooming in and out, which works because it's the child of something else. So when you make something bigger, obviously the camera just moves further away or close to it or whichever way. So yeah, and we're capping it between 10 and 1, and capping the rotation between 79 degrees and 11 degrees. This, remembering that the game uses radians. So transform.rotate Y basically means take the transform, this one here, and rotate it around the Y axis, which is straight down. So it rotates as if you're looking straight down there, it rotates around like a clock round. But I needed to convert my rotation, which is in degrees, to radians. Otherwise it spins around like a nutter and loses the plot. So yeah. However, what I was trying to do previously was trying to set the rotation directly, and I was mucking up taking the Euler angles, which come out in radians. You have to convert them to degrees, do your maths on them, and then convert them back to radians and put them back into the rotation. And I was failing at that completely because a quaternion has 4 numbers. It's got X, Y, Z, and W, and I don't know why. I don't know why they've chosen to do that. I don't know what the reason behind that is. I think I ask that question every time I use them. I don't know why they just don't deal with Euler angles, because X, Y, and Z just work. I don't know why it's needed that way, but something in mathematics and the way computers handle rotation requires that. I think it's to do with scaling. So if you have an object that is rotated, but when you rotate it, and then you scale it down one axis, the rotation is different for it, but I don't get how it works, because the rotation has to be done all in world space and local space, and I don't know, but yeah. So that's what we're doing there. That's what we're doing. So I am to check whether we are capping out at 79 degrees or 11 degrees. So 79 degrees up and 11 degrees down. We have to convert the Euler using the mathematics library. Euler is it takes a quaternion, but it just basically converts it into X, Y, and Z rotation, not X, Y, Z, W. So we take the rotation and we convert it into an Euler, and then we convert that Euler into degrees. So instead of it being between 0 and 3.14 pi, obviously around there, it becomes degrees. Also, radians aren't just 0 to 3.14. They appear to go on the y-axis 0 to 1.7, so halfway, they go halfway around, so they don't go 3.4, they go halfway around, they're halfway to pi, and then when you go to the other side, they start going down again, but the x and z on either side of it become 3.14. Which, so when you're rotating something here, so this will go up to half of 3.14, so you got 1.57, and then as soon as you go to, it won't go to 1.58, it will go down to 1.56, and then this will become 3.14 and this becomes 3.14, which just confuses me. I don't know the reasons behind the way radians work. I don't know why it just doesn't go round 3.14 and stop, or 3.14 pi, round to pi. Yeah, so we have to convert a quaternion, which is a float 4, to an Euler, which is a float 3, to degrees, which converts the radians to degrees. We then add the rotation and check if it's lower, and then we do that again here, and add the rotation and check if it's lower than 79 or above 11. Then we allow the rotation to happen. If it's not, we just stop it. We just stop it moving up and down. There is potential here for the camera to sometimes go wrong and maybe go above this for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's at 79 or it's at 78, and I don't know, but maybe it could go above that. But this, because it's not clamping it, it just checks whether it's above or below, and just if it's not, then it won't let you do that. If the camera does go above that, you can bring it back down again with the mouse anyway, so that might be a problem. So yeah, and then when I'm rotating, I have to convert my float, which is degrees, back to radians again, because if you try and add 3 degrees to something, obviously it's radians only go up 3.14, so you end up spinning the thing around on the spot. So yeah, so that's how I've done it. And then up here, we are literally just finding the camera position and rotation tag thing, and setting the camera's transform position to the local to world transform, not the local transform. Why are we doing that? Let me show you in here. So the camera position, you will see its position is 1 on the X and 0 and 0, which you'd think I'd put it like here somewhere, right? Because it's 1 on the X, that's fine. But you can see it's up there in the sky. That is because the camera's this transform position is based off of its parent, which is this thing. And its position is based off of its parent, and its position is based off its parent. So the position and rotation is all based off each thing. If you just try and take this and go local to world, transform.local to world, it puts the camera at this exact position in the world. So you have to use the not local transform component, the local to world component, which I forgot exists, and spent probably 4 hours trying to get this working and trying to figure out what was going wrong with it. Not to mention that I messed up the input system anyway, so hours of work in here trying to figure out why these rotation things. I tried all sorts of things to get these rotation things to work. Hours upon hours of trying different rotations and convincing myself that the rotate functions or methods were broken in Unity. They're not. They work perfectly well. Not a problem at all. I was messing up the inputs. I was inputting positive and negative numbers which cancel each other out, which causes problems. So yeah, banging my head against the wall, and it's the wrong wall. It's like I was pushing and pushing and pushing on a door that says pull. So yeah. And then this took me about an hour to try and figure out what's going on with it. And then somebody in one of the Reddit forums, I think it was, a Reddit post something, who said, oh, you need to do in the local transform, in this one here, there is a thing called transform dot transform rotation or transform point. Transform point will convert a local transform to a world position. It literally just takes the local position and spits out the world points. It doesn't actually translate it or move it or do anything like that. It's not. It doesn't do what it's supposed to do. It's in here, but it doesn't do what a vector does on the vector 3 on a transform, on a standard transform. A standard transform of game objects, transform point will give you the world space of the object, ignoring its local space. The transform point gives you the local, gives you the absolute numbers from it. So if it's x1, it will just give you x1. So this is absolutely pointless. These three things here are absolutely pointless. I see no reason for them to be useful at all when you're not supposed to use the local transform functions. Don't know why they even exist. They are pointless. Absolutely pointless. You don't need transform point. And then you give it a float 3 point, so vector 3.0 means you don't have on any offset, which should give you the local transform position in world space. Just gives you the local position. It will only work if you are one child deep. It won't work if you're anywhere else at all. But it won't work even one child deep, because if the main is moved somewhere, then this is still just 0.25. So it will just put you at origin 0.25. So you need to use transform point and feed in your parent's position, which is just, it's pointless. It's absolutely pointless. I don't know why they exist. I don't know why those functions exist. But it does say that you shouldn't be using the local transform to try and do that. You should be using local to world. That's what local to world is for. Converts local to world. And there is another one which does the other way around. There's a world to local position, so you can, yeah. So yeah, so that's what I need to do, and then boom, here you go. This now works. So we now have a working camera that we can Come on. We can hold right click. We can move it left and right. We can go up and down. We can zoom. That's... Oh. Guess who wasn't clearing the buffer? That's probably why I was zooming and moving too fast. So, okay, so there we go. That should work now. Okay, play. Unity is also taking a very long time to so I need to reverse that and also speed that up a little bit now. As I said, I'm using magic numbers here, so I need to do minus zoom because in is out and out is in. That is fine. I should also use plus and minus on the keyboard, on the keypad. Sorry, the numpad. I was clearly getting frustrated at this earlier on because I was literally saying out loud, why is it called numpad and not numberpad? Why have they called it numpad? I know it's a number pad. It's a numpad on the keyboard, so plus and minus on the keyboard. They also want to have plus and minus on the actual keyboard itself for zoom. But why call it numpad? The amount of times I type in number trying to find numpad and it just doesn't show you, doesn't come up here because it's called numpad. I'm like, you're annoying. You're very annoying. Why have you chosen to name it that way? But yep, go with it. Go with it. Okay. Rant over. Taking a long time to get into the game as well. Taking a very long time. So there we go. Zoom out. I can't go out any further. Boom. it all works independently. We can't go down any further. We can't go up above that area there. We can rotate around as many times as we like. That's fine. We can zoom in. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So there's only one other thing I need to do, and that is get the mouse pointer position, but we can do that later because we're not fussed about that now. So, okay. So I'm doing things slightly different here. I'm putting like all the camera stuff in one location, which is fine. This is now done. I don't think I need anything else in here. I might need to do a camera screen to point when I'm doing array casting. However, we now have a wonderful little trick. I don't have to use necessarily the camera position. I need the camera at the click point, but I don't need to use the camera main position for it because our camera position is exactly the same place as the camera. This is where it goes all the time. So maybe we can fire a rate from this to wherever the mouse is, so we don't have to worry about reading it. Although when we do raycast, we will have to read the camera. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure how raycasting works. I've got the library and I've done a little bit of it, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. So. But okay, the camera's done. But the reason I'm doing it this way here is because you can create. Nope. What is it? You can. I'm wearing the wrong glasses as well, so that's probably why stuff not tracking. You can create like DLLs for your game. So I could make all my camera system a independent thing. It's not called a DLL. It's called, I can't remember, an asset something. I can't remember. But you can create that. And what that basically means is that when you create something like this, it becomes its own namespace. Which means if you're working on the rest of your project, basically, whenever you're working on your project and you save a C# file, Unity will check everything that C# file can access. Which means if you're not using namespaces, which I am not, and I should be, and you're not separating things out, Unity will check every single one of your scripts to see if something has changed before it reloads everything, which slows stuff down. If you can separate them out so I can put all these into their own namespace or function, and then we don't change anything in this namespace or don't read from that namespace, so you know, like our buildables doesn't need to read from the camera ever. When I update something to the buildables, it can skip that because we haven't used it. Now, I don't use namespaces. I'm really bad at doing that, and I should probably get used to doing that because it's probably better for that. Assembly definition. This is the one. So create an assembly definition here and call this the camera control. Boop. There. Right. So we're going to get some errors thrown up here. So we need to import some things here. So what I should have done is I should have done this first, so that when I create stuff inside here, it does it by you can add a namespace here by default, and then when you create new scripts, it adds the namespace to it on its own. So that's fine. Version defines. Oh, whoa. So we're going to have to add a couple of things that this needs here to do this. I'm not sure if I want to do this or not, but I don't know. I kind of want to have a play with it to see. So like transform does this, mathematics, entities does this. So we're going to need those. So I'm going to need Unity burst for one. I'm going to need, I don't know if I need any of this. Collections we might need, I'm not sure. Entities. Mathematics. We might need the input system, but I'm not sure on that yet. Mathematics. Transform. Unity, scroll down here. Scenes. Transforms. Hit apply. No, why not? Why entities doesn't exist? Oh yeah, reload. Right, so oh, that's working now. Right, okay. Reload that. There you go. Camera controller runs Unity entities, which is part of Unity's collections. Okay, so we need to add Unity collections to it. Okay, and then we go Baker could not be found. Not sure where Baker is. What is Baker under? What does Baker come under? I'm not sure. Unity. Hold on. Let me go to another Baker and see buildables. Baker. Save. Yes. Ah. Okay. So it's not saving the thing when I'm doing it. So let's go into here. Let's mouse over this, and this is Unity's entities.baker. That should be in there though. Yeah, because I can't link Unity entities.baker. Unity engine.component. I mean, Baker is not recognized. That makes no sense. Baker cannot be found. Okay. Are you missing a directive or an assembly reference? Yes, I'm missing an assembly reference, but I don't know where it is. So I added entities, which should include all of these underneath it. Right. You can use the entities dot. Right, might have to Google this one. Get entity doesn't exist as well. Where is get entity? Get entity is in the iBaker. Class Unity's entities. We're using Unity entities. Why? Generate new type. No, that's no good. When does this? Right. Okay. Now I'm confused. That's what I don't see. I have that there. Gary, hello. Good evening. Hope you are having a good day. All the hedgehogs. No, well, I don't think so. I don't think anybody else is here at all, which is fine. The development streams don't usually get a lot anyway, so not all that worried. Not all that worried about that. Let me see. Let me Google this one here. Right, okay, so apparently we need to add Unity entities hybrid. To automatically reference in predefined assemblies. Okay. That has not worked. That has not worked. Oh, yes it has. Hold on. Right, okay, that has worked. Oh, using input system, that's fine. Yeah, so the camera controller doesn't have access to any of these. So save all of these, go back to Unity, let you recompile. There we go. So movement buffer data, look buffer data, zoom buffer data, all the buffer data no longer exist, which is fine. We know about that. We know about it because we did that. Now if I go into the player input system and create a definition here, I'll call this the player input. Oh, that. This is going to recompile some scripts and do some things, and then probably throw out some more of these. Then we can go back to our. See, if I'd have done this at the start, we wouldn't have had this problem, but I didn't do this. So yeah, I'm very confused as to why I've had to add entities and entities.hybrid. That's weird. I would have thought .entities would cover that, but we had to play input one, and then we apply that, and I don't know how to get Unity to regenerate. Oh, there we go. Oh, failed to find entry points. Uh oh. Right. Okay. So I want to copy that. Go to my input. Bloom. And then I want to. I can't paste it. Oh, really? Be property path. Yeah, so I should remake namespaces here for things, but I have not done that. And I should add one to my scripts as well and create a namespace in there, and I think it will double namespace. I'm not sure though. Bug game. But then this wants to be nice dot game. Okay, apply. And then go to my camera, and then this wants to be camera controller. Fine. I don't know. It's not going to update any of these in here, is it? No. Let's create a new script in here. My system script called test. Ah, no, that hasn't done. No, yeah, the database camera controller. That's not what I wanted. Okay. Unity. Can we get rid of that? So I need to be. So yeah, so I'm going to call it belt game because that's just the way I'm going to do it for the minute. But that's fine. Okay, apply that. Go to the input one. Go to here, and then this wants to be dot game dot player input. Okay, save. Then here I want to create a new. I should have done this right at the start. Okay, I know that. I should have done it right at the start. I know that, but I didn't. Okay, so now close all of the scripts. Back to Unity. Load all the scripts. Do not know if I need to. I don't know if I need to put these into a namespace. because of the way I'm using the reference libraries, but I don't know. I don't know. Do I need to put them all into? That doesn't need to exist anymore. That model behavior can be deleted. I didn't need that. Because I don't know if I need to put all these in. Create a new component data. We call this data test, and it does put it inside. So I'd have to do that to each and every one. This is something I should have started up. Oh, do I do it? I think I do this. There? No. Do it above it. Like that. All these here. Yeah, I should have. This is the basic setup, which I didn't do. I didn't do when I started the project. I didn't do the initial setup when I started the project. So yeah, reload. I don't know whether I should do that there or whether this should. Right, what's wrong with this? Movement type is a non-nullable field along with any fields in this. In order to use parameter generic method, use get singleton buffer. Boom. What? What does that mean? Is read only. True. Be non-nullable, right? Okay. Why? I can't use player input. Right? Why is that? You have player input there. Ah, probably because I haven't actually put the player input stuff. Squirrel! Squirrel! All the squirrels! Alright, hello, good evening. Haven't coached you a long time, but I wouldn't use var to declare variable necessary. Yes, sure, yeah, no, I don't mean, yeah, that should be, these should be hard declared, but that's not going to change anything. No, hang on, because these are dynamic buffers. But it's non-nullable, so it's still throwing a wobbly on them, even though I should be hard declaring them. I know. There we go, like that. But it says they are non-nullable. I don't know what it is. I think that is because I haven't defined the input stuff yet. But let me do this first here. So then I need to come into here and I need to add all the stuff to here that we've added before. So we need access to burst, collections, entities, entities hybrid for some bizarre reason. All right, apply that. Mathematics. Save. Unity, yes, Unity 6. Yep, Unity 6. Yep. Oh, hello. Is that because I created this one? Will this give me first collections, entities, mathematics? It could not be found because right, okay, so let's add hybrid. Is that the player input system? Unity's input system. Camera controllers cannot find movement buffer data. That's because you need player input. That is because no, that's fine. It's fine. Absolutely fine. I am by no means at all a good programmer. I am just literally sort of I'm learning as I'm going. I'm learning as I'm going on purpose. So you can't read those. Why can't you read those? Is that because we're not using game.play input? There we go. So even though I've added it to the definitions, I also need to add it to the using statements. Right. Okay. But this namespace thing I should have set up at the start of the game before I started doing anything. I did not. So now I'm having to go back through and refactor stuff because I didn't do it properly. Are you right? You see? Oh, there we go. Hey, we have no errors. Okay. But if I was to get rid of that from there, it throws a wobbly because player input does not exist, because it doesn't know about player input because it's not allowed to. So I should re-add player input, and also I've realised I should name these properly, shouldn't I? Can you do that? Can you name them like that? I think you can. Whoa, whoa, nope. Whoa. You. Come on. Should be belt game dot whatever, but it's just called camera controller. I should get a player input. So it does, yeah. So all of mine will be in the same place there. So they should be called kaisuk.camera.beltgame. Let's name them properly. Come on, do it properly. Do it properly. Have you not been killing bugs tonight, on ice? You've not been saving the universe? Work fine till last round. Oh, the famous last round. All right, okay. So now I want to try something else as well. Can I get rid of burst? I wondered if I could do that because of come on. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Changing the 70 references you don't like. Because I've got this one here, I wonder whether because I've set up these here, like the base ones, I wonder whether it would inherit from that one. You can also add an assembly definition reference. What is this when it's at home? Does that let me do that? And then input system, input action cannot be found. Interesting. So the assembly input referencing the main one, overrides these. Even though this has the input system, it now can't read the input system. Player input does not exist. Is that because of that? Get rid of that. Okay, so an assembly reference overrides an assembly definition. I really feel like that should be the other way around. Like we should be able to have like a master one that has all the Unity stuff on it, and then I can just have assembly references to that, and then yeah. Although I think I could probably do that, couldn't I? Because I could go here and let me remove all of these. Hold on. We'll just add them all in. So we're going to want burst. We're going to want collections, entities. Entities hybrid. Mathematics. I think stuff that's going to be used everywhere in the code. I think that's it. I think that's it for the moment. Transforms are going to be used in a lot of places, so I don't know if I want to do those, but I use Visual Studio, but no, I haven't tried JetBrains Rider or what's the other one that people are going about? Nope, can't remember the other one. Mainly because you have to pay for them. You have to pay for them, whereas Visual Studio comes free, and I like Visual Studio over Visual Studio Code, because Code just seems to Visual Studio Code seems like it takes something away. So if I do that, there's our master ones there. Does that mean I can now go into the camera one here, and I can remove like basically all of these, and then just access? Oh, that's Kai-Stock Belt Game. That's incorrect. And the answer is no. That's disappointing. So even though I have access to the Kai-Stock Belt Game one, which also has access to all these, it doesn't inherit. That is kind of disappointing. So that means I'm going to have to add references to each and everything every single time, which is very annoying. Seems a bit redundant. But then the assembly definitions actually do help in the long run, because as the code gets bigger, it doesn't compile so much. So it's extra steps now, but yeah. And I can't just copy this as well, which is very annoying. Yeah. Yeah, I would have thought it would have done that, but it does not. It does not. Okay, right. So, okay, let's right. What do? Why did I open those? I can't do anything with that. So, actually, you know what? Let's just let's copy that and paste that in there. You know, there's no way for me to refresh this to get Unity to reread it. You have to remove something and re-add it. That's a bit weird. Do player input, okay, and then click over here. So if I click apply, it doesn't rebuild it. I have to click some outside of it to hit the save button to get Unity to recompile stuff. However, it's missed something here. What's wrong with this? Local transform is not supported. Why is local transform not supported? That's because we don't have transforms here, do we? Boop. Right. Okay. So I might as well get rid of this one because there's no point in having this one. When enabled, the assembly definitions automatically reference in predefined assemblies. Predefined assemblies. Who are those? Oh. I'll leave you there, but I'm going to take away everything inside there because there's no point in having anything inside there. Although, actually, now thinking about it, can I undo that? No, I cannot. However, I do have these still in my thing, so they went boom. The icon above the tabs on the left. Where that's no, that's you know about that one there. That's another window I have open there now. It's a weird thing. There is an apply button down here for when you make changes to it. So if I remove mathematics and then hit apply, that should cause it to recompile, which it is. Now it's making it recompile. However, sometimes it doesn't seem to want to do it. Like if there's an error, it doesn't always do it, which is really weird. This button here, that's undo history. There's a search there, so but yeah. And Wanderer, hello, good evening, welcome. I'm going to put this back in here, so like that, okay, and then hit apply. And that is what it might be, that it doesn't want to do it if there's an error. Because obviously there's no definition, hitting apply doesn't cause it to update, so it doesn't remove the error, whereas clicking out of it does. Maybe it is working, it just doesn't work the way I expect it to, which seems to be a lot of stuff in Unity working that way. But yeah, so I'm kind of disappointed that I can't just have one thing for all the Unity definitions of stuff. Because now if I had an assembly here, and I want to call this class UK game dot buildables. Boop. It's going to compile scripts and it's going to throw a wobbly saying, hey, I can't get the baker because I don't have access to it, even though there is access to the thing previously. So yeah. So I think what I'll do is I will oh god, there's a nothing in there, add burst, apply, open, there we go. Right, now if I do that, because I can't just copy that GUI thing. But games that will not be compiled. Oh yeah, so now it's ignoring this one, but it doesn't exist. But that's okay, because this one purely is a placeholder so that I can just copy these things out. So yeah. That's fine. That's fine. That's not a problem. That's purely just so I can do that. So cool. So now, technically, if I start working in one of these folders, and I don't reference the camera or the input system, the input system is going to be referenced in a few places, but it will not have to recompile those. They'll be completely separate. And also, when I build the project, they are built into independent DLLs, so when you come to updating the game, doing updates for things, you don't have to re-download the entire thing. You can just download, you can just patch it, you can patch little pieces, you can add little bits to it. So that's the idea of doing this. Hopefully that's at least how I think it's supposed to work. Let's give it a build. Not that it can do anything right now, but let's give it. So let me look at the build profiles. What have we got here? Everything is exactly the same as it should be. That's fine. So yeah, Matthew, hello, good evening. Left a comment on your first Oddsparks video. I can't believe how long Oddsparks has been going for. When I started it said there's about 20 hours worth of content, and I think I'm like 50 episodes in now. So I'm glad to hear you're enjoying the series. You played the demo and brought early access and returned to play it. Awesome. If you've only played it since it first came out, they've got 2 new things added to it. Obviously, trains have been added to the game, and they've added the frost and volcano areas. So there's lots of new things. I've just got into the volcano area, which is new. So okay, I still called sample seed this one. I haven't renamed that. So did I rename this? I said build game version 1. Yeah, okay, everything's default, everything's fine. Build. New folder. Build. Being in the loop, just never experienced the first. Oh, awesome. So you've seen what's going on with it and that, but yeah, I'd recommend jumping back into it. This obviously the playthrough that you're seeing is the first time of me ever playing the game. And I'm very thankful. They actually I contacted them. No, they reached out to me to mention about it or something, or it's through another. Basically, I got offered a key for the game, and it was a game that I was looking at previously, and I was like, oh yes, I would be interested in playing that, and yeah, so I am playing it through. So I'm very happy to hear other people are enjoying the series and seeing what's going on with it. So yeah. It's going to be a bit of a slow build for the first time, because it always is. You want to see what it does to the file structure of the things. If it works the way I think it does, then I'm going to carry on with it. If it doesn't, and it's still going to do a big monolithic Unity.resources, there's no point. Starting the Halloween, yes, I you know, I didn't even realise that was a thing when I first started the game. It was like, oh, they got pumpkins around, that's quite cool. And then my brain was like, hang on a minute, it's Halloween. Oh yeah. I didn't see anything for Christmas. I didn't see any like stuff up around Christmas time. I wonder if there'd be Easter bunnies going around. That'd be quite cool. Just random eggs up here. That'd be cool. But I like yeah. I like when games do that. They add little touches, you know, little things that just pop up here and there, and you know, even if it doesn't really do anything, it just changes the aesthetics of things. I quite like that. The Heart and Cold update, yeah, the Heart and Cold update was around Christmas, but the town, the village didn't have any like there wasn't any lights on the trees or something. So right, okay, so let's see here. So this is here. So doesn't nope, it looks to me as if it's doing exactly the same. Let me drag that over there. But so Unity creates normally two files. You've got resource.assets and resource.asset.res in the directories. So I thought creating definition. I know we've only got little tiny definitions, so it's not really going to make any dramatic effect now. But I thought it separated those out. What did breakout do in the end? Breakout data. No, look, it's got the two. So that's the resource. There's the global managers. And if you go back here, the Unity player is the big thing, 35 meg. That's the same thing. The Unity player is 35 meg. It's not doing what I thought it did do, which maybe I'm missing something with this, but I'll look into that later anyway. So yeah. Actually, in the watching series, yeah, okay, go enjoy, go chill. That's the whole point. That's the whole point for it. And you will absolutely see when you watch my videos of how not to do it. That's usually the thing. So yeah. But anyway, enjoy. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay. So this needs a root namespace, which is the same as that. Which then means I need to it doesn't feel like it's doing things any quicker than it was before. Let me create a new that'll do. I literally want to copy the namespace so I can put it into all the rest of the things. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. Come on. Come on. Just wrap them all in the stuff. And also, you should not be an internal. You should be a public class so that we can actually access this externally. So, can I get rid of this one now, or can I? Right, okay, so, right, what do I want to work on next? What do I want to work on next? So we've got the camera working. Replay and make sure everything is doing the thing here. Yeah, I'm not sold on these assembly definitions, I'm going to be honest with you. It seems like a lot of extra work for very little benefit, but it's supposed to be better later on. And now we're throwing a wobbly for these. Input movement buffer. Yeah, I don't. I think I want to use the namespaces. I should be using namespaces, but I might just get rid of the assembly things. Because they're not doing what I wanted them to do. So let's just do away with them. But I do want to be using the namespaces. I need to remember to use namespaces. I think we can set default namespaces up. The root namespace of scripts in Unity. Ah, there it is. Right, cool. Get rid of the camera one. Get rid of the input one. Get rid of the default one. Well, there you go, that fixes that. And then if we go into the project settings, whoa, bright light. Editor, root namespace. I think if I did that and left the dot on the end. Now, if I come to everything is working, isn't it? Okay, let's hit play and see if the stuff is still working. There we go. Everything's working. Everything's doing the thing it should be doing. Awesome. Okay. And our camera. This is all camera controller, which is fine. So that's independent. That's fine. And if it needs, like the camera controller system requires access to the player input, we just have to add using built game player input. But I think now, if I come into here and I create a new baker script and call this test baker, for instance, yeah. So as soon as I do this, it throws an error. It goes, it's wrong. There's a problem. That is because I put a dot on the end here. So this will force me to name this something. So like that. Boom. And then that will cause Unity to rebuild. It'll just take it forever anyway, so yeah, boom. But there you go. Cool. Okie dokie. So when I create a new script now, all the scripts will be invalid the second I create a new script, which is fine because that forces me to then put in something towards the end of it, because I don't want anything in the root namespace of classuk.belt game. Whoa. Whoa. Shush. Wasn't expecting that. Wasn't expecting that. Okay, go back. Go back. Right, so. Right, what do we want to do next? Next, I want to actually figure out a way to do things. So we have our mock CPU socket. It was having samples. Unity physics. Do I want Unity physics? I don't know. I don't think I do. We have our CPU, which is just a thing that is slightly smaller and has a slightly different color on it. I'm actually going to change up these things here. So I want to give you the CPU socket. You want to be more of a sort of I don't know how to get a cream color. Let me get a cream color. Like that. So the socket's a cream color and the CPU can be grey, and that's fine. Okay, cool, right. So we want to be able to place a CPU on the socket. I need to be able to snap things together to do stuff. So you are going to need to have things. You are definitely going to be a placeable. Okay, let's get rid of that. Might even need to make a scriptable objects. Might need to make scriptable objects for this. So we have buildables. Right now we have the CPU and CPU socket in the buildables. Our placement is a placement system. So buildables is the buildables, isn't it? So we have this here, buildable items. We have a CPU. Okay. I also want to add a you don't have any scripts on your tool, do you? We're going to want to have to add something to you. I don't know. Right. When we create the buildables, let's go to the buildables here. We are creating a buffer of buildable items. So then we want to use that buffer to place items in the world. This needs more than what I've defined here, doesn't it? This needs more than what I've defined here. So not buffer. I need buildable items. Open buildable items. So we have a public buildable, which is the item. A public game mode, which is the prefab. I'm then going to have a definition of what can fit inside what. So we don't want to have a CPU be plugged into a PCI socket, for instance. So public buildable socket type. I might need to break these up. At least break them up between buildables, sockets, and belts, for instance. We're going to need 3 different things, 3 different types of buildable items. Yeah, I think we might need to do that. Right, where is buildables? So let's change this to be a buildable socket. Buildable component. Buildable belt. I'm naming them all buildables because of so the socket is going to be CPU. I'm going to put an underscore in that CPU socket, and then I'll go with a AGP plot. Doesn't really matter. It's just the names of them. I don't know how to convert. You can't use spaces in here, can you? No. I'll use underscores. And we can clear underscores out later. So build a component is going to be a CPU and then GPU, and then the build of a belt is going to be I'll just say belt. There should be probably a none here as well, so we can reset them all to none. And then I want a total at the end. Must be asked for counting. Okay. Well, that. So I probably want a none at the start as well. So that we can clear out stuff. So by default it will go to none. So it doesn't break anything. So yeah. And we'll have different CPUs and stuff defined in here, depending on what we get and things, and we can add things and stuff like that. But by using an enum, obviously 1, 0, 2, it still gives them numbers, but it gives them names. So yeah. So this doesn't want to be a buildable item. We want to have a couple of different things here. So we want to have a buildable sockets is not really the correct term. That's already used though, isn't it? Yeah. don't want to use the word component because components are used internally in Unity. Yeah, because component is used in Unity, and I've messed that up before. I've named things incorrectly like that. So, this. Let's just put the word name on the end of these. Buildable socket name. Or buildable socket type. CPU type. Doesn't matter. We can change them later. Doesn't matter. So a buildable socket will have a buildable socket name. Okay, and just has a game object. That's it. That's all that needs. Right. Okay. So duplicate system 0. Do I not need to do that then? Okay. So do they all become system 0? Oh, how? No, because I have to rename them. Buildable component. And buildable belt, which is not the correct term, but we'll go with belt. Okay. Hey. And this one's to have a buildable. No, this is so I don't want to call these buildable. So I want to have this socket name, component name, or but actually this. Type, component type, belt type isn't really the correct terminology, but each socket is a networking system. Need to find a better thing for this. Component type is also one that's built into Unity. It's very close to built into Unity, so I don't like that. Belt type. Let's just call these buildable socket name, buildable component name, and buildable belt name. Let's do it that way. So buildable socket name, buildable component name, and buildable belt name. And this one wants to have a public buildable socket name called we'll call this socket. So it must have a socket there. So a component must go into a socket. I don't like these names. I don't like these names. I'll come up with a better way to do it later. That's fine. Okay, so you want to have buildable let's do it that way. Just put an S on the end of it. Okay. Buildable sockets. Buildable socket list. Buildable components. Component list and buildable belts. Buildable belt list. There you go. Okay, cool. Right, so buildable item buffer. What's this one here? You want to add 3 separate buffers to it. One for sockets, one for this is going to be interesting because we might have there may well be multiple sockets or things. So for instance, you've got no, hang on, PCI is PCI. There's multiple components that go into the same socket, but there are multiple sockets that fit the same components. Makes sense. Like CPU sockets, generally when you change a socket, it doesn't support multiple types of CPU. If you know what I mean, it doesn't like a CPU will go into one socket, it won't go into multiple sockets. And the same for like PCI. If something is PCI, there are many PCI components. There's only one PCI socket, really one PCI Express socket. There's PCI Express 16 and 24 and so on and so forth. And the PCI, that's the only thing. A PCI Express 1 or 4 times, like a wireless card, for instance, can go into a full-size PCI Express socket. But that's rare. That's not the standard. It is a standard, but it's not common. So yeah, this works. So I don't have to worry about this being just the one. We'll go with one. If you have multiple CPUs go into the same socket, but we won't have a CPU or component that can go into multiple sockets, you know, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so if I add 3 buffers here, then depending on what you're doing, depends on what it is, and that's fine, because then we can look at an item we're on, and we can go, if it's a socket tab, that we can do, yeah. I don't think you can add a component to an entity you haven't created. It hasn't been instantiated. So, okay. So we need to go to the buildable item buffer, and I need to have a couple of these things here. So it's no longer a buildable item data buffer. This is a buildable socket data buffer. Buildable socket, is that right? Hold on. Yes, yeah, that stores. Nope, hold on. That doesn't feel right, because then we're storing in here. Yeah, no, that's no. So I need buildable sockets. That one. What was this by default? Hold on. It was just a buildable. That's what you were. You were just buildable. So yes. So this needs to be a buildable. Damn it! Come on. Come on, fingers. Buildable sockets is the, I don't know what I'm calling it, item. Whereas here I think we're calling it name. Yeah. So basically I need to copy this to this, and we just make a copy of the data. Yeah. Game object with entity. Okay. Buildable, not item, buildable socket data buffer, buildable component data buffer, and buildable, I'm just going to call them belts, belt data buffer. Copy that one into here. Adam, hello, good evening. Hope you are having a good day. I am going to be entirely honest with you. I don't know. I don't know how interfaces work. Be entirely honest with you. I'm not quite sure. What do you mean the name? The name interface? I mean, that's that. Yeah, because right now all I'm doing is just literally storing the name of it and what it can plug into. There's no data behind it. These need to be scriptable objects, realistically. That's what it needs to be. The buildable component needs to be a scriptable object, not defined by a class, just that. So I can just make the scriptable objects and just drag them on there and go, boom, there you go, it's a scriptable object. It contains this, it's got text on it, it's got information, it's got all their bits and pieces. And I think as well that you can pass a scriptable object in through an iBuffer, so it can also do things like grab the text and stuff from it, I think. Because otherwise in here I've got to define a string, which you can't do to a buffer element. You have to define a string to a certain length, which causes, weird things to happen. Because because a string is not a if I do that, I think Unity throws a wobbly. Oh, hello. What's this? Oh yeah, we haven't actually got around to fixing that yet, so that's fine. I don't know if we have to pass all the information for it. That's the thing. Let me comment this out for a moment. Oh wait, save that. See what Unity does. Process assembly library B artifacts assembly C# defines the 300 requisite process. What? What? I don't know what that means. Go away. Nope. Okay. I think that is because of this. Yeah, can't pass a string into an iBuffer element. Okay. The interfaces are a definition that a class implements, i.e. the functions. Yeah, I could create a CPU interface, I suppose, and then we just fill in the stuff, and so yeah, I get what you mean there. So like the interface would have CPU speed, interrupts per clock, that sort of thing. Interrupts per clock is just basically the only metric I'm be using. The IPC, you could pass the IPC in, but it could pass other things as well. You know, as you said, computer speed and maybe overclocking abilities and so on and so forth, and power consumption, all that sort of stuff. And then you could have one interface that does it all. So it just goes, you just go, hey, I need to process data, and rather than get the speed and get the bits and pieces, it does it via an interface. Yeah, that would probably work. I've not used interfaces at all. I did try many moons ago when I was looking at somebody writing an RPG, and they had an interface for the damage system, I think it was, that basically you just went, I'm going to damage this person, and you tell the interface, I have this sword, and well, that's it. I have. You tell the interface what weapon you've got, I think it is, and then the interface goes, okay, I will see how much damage that does, and it does it all for you, basically. No, hang on, is that right? I can't remember. I'd have to do more looking up on that. So yeah, but I may have missed it on my brain actually taking the input. I don't think you were here for the stream on Tuesday, and I did start early on Tuesday as well. I started at like 8 o'clock, I think. So yeah, so you weren't here for it. But let me get my funky drawing. Funky drawing. Wow, look at this wonderful, brilliant, fantastic artwork. So the idea of this game is you are a motherboard, or you are a mainframe, in wherever you're a mainframe, and you have to take contracts which give you energy credits, but the contracts will want you to do certain things. So to start with, they want you to just process math data or something on your CPU. You will have a CPU, and that's it, and it will process the data, and obviously you have a bit of memory as well, I suppose, and you will complete them, and you will gain energy credits, which are stored in your capacitors, which you have to store on the motherboard as well. And then after you've got enough energy stored up, you can then do some research like maybe getting an expansion port, and then you can take contracts that require other things. So you might get a contract that say, hey, I need to have some graphics processing. So, well, I can't do that on the CPU, so I need to get a graphics card to do that independently, because it wants hardware rendering, not that. So, but basically, it's going to be a factory game, but instead of having a sawmill to chop your wood into lumber, you have a CPU which processes the data into process data, and then a graphics card which does the processes graphics data, a sound card which processes sound data, that sort of thing. And you can have multiple graphics cards or multiple things doing different stuff and different things, and you can have a better CPU and stuff going on, and that's the idea. And the complexity of the game comes from you only have a motherboard and you have to try and fit it on there until much later, when you can possibly get a second motherboard or third or fourth motherboard and then network them up and do things. Yeah. So that's the game. That's the game we're doing, Wanderer. That's the thing. So, so it's not going to be a huge dramatic factory game like Satisfactory. Yes, conveyor belts. The connections between where the data comes in via your storage and it needs to be sent to the memory and the CPU. It needs to be stored in the memory and then to the CPU. All these are conveyor belts. They are the conveyor belts. That's right, and you'll see the little packages of data, the little package go along into the memory and then goes to the CPU, then comes back again when it's been processed, and then has to go back to storage, and then you have to figure out getting that data to your slots and things, and there'll be north bridges and stuff. So yes, there'll be conveyor belts. There will be conveyor belts. Don't worry about that. There will be conveyor belts. Yeah, that is the point of it. So it's a factory game, but your factory is a motherboard, basically. Your factory is a motherboard. So you're instead of mining your ore, you get the ore coming from the storage and you convert it. So yeah, the bus, yes, yeah, bus. Yeah. I'm going to call the conveyor belts internally anyway, but yeah, they should be a bus. And obviously the buses, you get different speeds of them. You get multi-lane ones, so you can have bi-directional buses, which will be things to do there. And I'm going to kind of have it a bit like Factorio, so it's all going to be sort of on the motherboard. You don't build up in the sky, but motherboards can be multiple layers. So you'll be able to go down layer. You'll do some research and you'll unlock a second layer. So you can have a bus come out, your belt can come out of the memory, go down to the layer, go underneath and come back up again. And that's how you'll have to do things, and you'll have to figure out where belts go. So that's the idea behind it. That's the idea behind it. And I'd like to try and use, I don't know if I can use real world. I can use real world technologies, because you can use the names of real world technologies without anybody jumping down your throat. You just can't use the actual technology itself, can you? You can, you can talk about things like MMX and 3D Now and all that sort of stuff, and AVX and all that sort of stuff, because even though the technology is copyrighted, the names are not, that I know of. I'm just not sure whether I could actually say you can get an Intel Pentium 2 CPU to put in here. I don't know whether I'm allowed to do that or not. I'd have to look and see. So we might just have to go with made up CPU names instead, or just maybe not even go down that route. Yeah. You limit the amount of layers by tech. The idea is going to be that you'll have research. You'll be able to, so you take control. You'll start the game with just a CPU socket and a CPU and memory, because you need some memory. And there will be this style, my fantastic this style, the legged pinned ones. So there'll be the early. So the so we're starting at, I think I was going to start at 286. I think, Yes, yeah, I've just seen that there some 50 series cards are missing ROPs, which is interesting. And Nvidia's managed to screw that up as well, which is great because yay, I'm an AMD person, so yeah. So you do a contract to gain energy. So the contracts pay you in energy. You can store the energy in capacitors, so you need to make sure you've got enough space in your motherboard to do that. I'm going to have the power just be transferred through the motherboard automatically. You're not going to have to put power cables down. I think that's not a thing. So you just have your energy storage here. Once you've got enough storage, you can take a research contract. Now they obviously give you access to new hardware or new things. So if you take a research contract to add a new layer to your motherboard, you're going to have to process the data to complete that contract whilst using your energy, and you can't get energy in because you're currently in use doing that. You can obviously have priorities for things. I've got let me here, Bob. This was the design document of it, as we said here. So this is kind of where I was looking at this here. So this goes from the 8080 processor, which was the 086 processor, is 1976, I think it was the first. Not the first processor, but that was kind of where I was starting. And this only goes up to 1996. So this is only like 30 years worth of technology. Or 20 years technology, I think, actually. I don't know, but yeah. But you take a contract to, if you take a research contract, you can obviously before you get multitasking, which was on the 486, which was quite early. Processors could only do one thing at a time. So if you take a contract early to like get something new, you can't pause it. I'm not sure on the technology behind that. I need to research a bit more on that. I was just writing down the stuff that came out on it. But yeah, you'll take a contract for doing research to undo things. So you need to make sure you've got enough energy credits in the bank to finish the research. But you can take contracts during that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we're here. So yeah, you can set research to low, and then you could take another contract, and the research will only run when the CPU is free. But stuff that is idle, so if you've got a graphics card in there doing nothing, it will still consume power. So you really want to be using all your stuff as often as you possibly can. So I wasn't really going to limit things based on the technology, but maybe the research will come along. Like you can't just research the fastest bus. You have to research. Excuse me. You have to research through them. You have to research through the bus, through the bus speeds, through the CPU socket speeds. You have to research as time goes on, and each one will become increasingly more difficult. So you want to get faster processors so you can research things faster. So 2 rows of pins equals dip. A dip. So yeah, so that's this. So I was trying to explain something, and halfway through doing it, I read something in here, and my brain failed what I was trying to explain then. So I can't remember what it was. But yeah, the amount of layers in the motherboard. Obviously, you can research probably like one layer early-ish on, so you can get underground belts that one. But then the second layer is going to require a lot. So if you want to research that, you'd either have to wait a very long time, or you'd have to get a better processor first to research it faster. But eventually you get to a point where you're going to get contracts which will say, we want to do this I don't know, we want to calculate pi to 1 million digits or whatever, and we want you to complete it within a certain amount of time. Now, if your CPU cannot do it fast enough, you're going to fail that contract, and then all that energy that you used to put into the contract will fail, and you'll lose it all. And there'll be bonuses for if you finish stuff early as well. So you don't want to be taking a contract. You'll get to a point eventually where it's like, I cannot take some of these contracts because they're too much for my system. so I need to research something to do it. So I'm gonna have it an actual game where you can fail. You can fail. There are so many factory games out there where you can't really fail on them. You can't really get anything. You can't, you know, if you die, you respawn. It doesn't matter. But I'd like a game where you can get to a point where, actually, do you know what? I messed up my energy consumption and didn't get things, and now I'm screwed. So yeah, there will probably always be contracts that are doable for you. I think probably that sort of thing. You know, there'll be contracts that you can. The contracts will be smart enough to know that there will be some that are given to you that are too much for you, and some that are just right, and some that are maybe quite easy to do. So yeah. Dual inline package. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant by the legs, the bug ones with yeah. So that would be the socket, and that would be the oppressor. So yeah, that's the idea. And obviously was it the 8080 processor? Yeah, the 8080 processor was the dual inline. Yeah, dual inline package. Yes, I've heard that before. I've not heard it called DIP, but I've heard it called dual inline. Now I'm saying it out loud. I have heard that before, but I didn't associate that right. So yeah. The initial specified clock rate was a frequency of 2 MHz on the 8080 processor. Rah! With instructions using 4, 5, 7, 10, or 11 clock cycles. It was able to execute several hundred thousand instructions per second. That's the idea. I think most of the processors I'm going to figure out is IPC, because there is a wonderful calculation. It's sockets times calls divided by sockets times clock times IS divided by cycle. So yeah. Old 286 onwards, remember? I remember the 486s. I never owned one. My first processor was a Pentium 100. So I started, my first PC was technically a 586. Although they stopped calling them those numbers by then. But the first computer I ever built was a K62, which is a 686 technically, not AMD K62. So, but I do know I did use a couple of 486s back in the day, playing the original SimCity on a 486 DX, 486 DX, DX2, something like that. I think it was. But never used a 286. I have later used the 386 with Windows. I've been Windows 1, which was just basically a DOS shell. Windows 1 was a DOS shell. It wasn't even a separate application, basically. So yeah. So yeah, so I think the idea would be we'd look at I don't know how you'd find what the IPC of certain processors are, but maybe we'll start making up processors and stuff and just saying, hey, this has got an IPC of, I don't know, 10 or whatever, we said the SX having no math code. Yeah, the math code processor and the floating point units, I know were separate things, weren't they? The 486 had a built-in FPU. Was it? I think the 386 that I used many years later, I think it would have been around the year 2000, had a separate floating point unit chip for doing instructions. And you had to do, I can't remember what it was, but there were some programs that you had to do something special with to make them know that you could run it on the separate chip. So yeah, that's a bit weird. So I think I've got that written down in The SX, was it an SX? I don't think it was an. It was. I'm sure it was a. Yeah, it was a 486 DX2. Was the one that a friend's dad had. We played many SimCity, many hours of SimCity on that, the original SimCity. Yeah, it was a DX2. I remember because I remember it was probably one of the first CPUs I ever saw as a separate CPU, because he took it apart to clean the fan. I think it was. He was a heavy smoker, and he took it apart to clean the fan, and obviously cleaned it off and did the thermal paste. Back before I knew what any of that stuff was, I had no idea what any of that was. So I didn't know what he was doing. But I remember seeing it, and it had it all written on it. Had in white writing the whole, because it looked like a grey slate with white writing. Was that the 4? I need to look up 486. Hold on. Boom. There, Intel 4, yeah, a grey slate with Intel writing. So yeah, Intel i486 DX2, yeah, yeah, with gold pins underneath it. Right. I remember that well. And it had this little tiny thin heatsink on it with a fan that was screwed directly into the heatsink. There was no special thing, it was just 2 screws screwed directly into the heatsink, and it was all clipped on and had you had to bend the thing to get the clip to hold the stuff. Wow, it was yeah, and I remember it a lot because I was fascinated. But the second he started taking it apart, I was like, oh, you can take those apart, and I was really interested in it. Like any kid, I would have been. How old would I be when that would have been? 12, 13, something like that, I think. Yeah, would have been probably 12, I think, when I saw that one. So, yeah, would have been early 90s, 93, 12, yeah, it'd be 93. So, yeah. Yeah, so, right, okay. I'm completely going off on random tangents on this thing here and not actually getting anything done, which is fine. So we have our CPU socket just on our motherboard here. This is just purely for testing things. I want to be able to build a CPU. So now I need to go back to my buildables, and we need to go buildable socket. I need to have the socket because I want the when you start the game, the little tutorial is going to be put down your first CPU socket, mount the CPU to it, put down some memory, and connect the belts up. Yeah, reminiscing, yeah. Remember, because I remember it was one of the big cases with the monitor sat on top of it, and you had to take the monitor off, and then you just pushed. There was no screws. You pushed like the 2 buttons in on the side and lifted the case off. And yeah, and it was horrible inside. Because I said he was a heavy smoker. They had dogs in the house. It was horrible inside there, and he was like, yeah, every couple of months, just take it apart and clean it. It's like, wow. Create a new folder here, and let's call this components. So you're going to go into there. All got sockets, even though we're going to have a lot of DIMMs and stuff which aren't technically sockets, they are slots, but I don't think that matters. So let's put the CPU socket in there. There we go. Ba-dum. That is now a prefab. That's fine. Bump, delete that. And then I'm also going to have another one here. I'm going to carry on calling them belts because it's just, I know that's not technically what they are. They're going to be draw a bus, you put the bus in, but yeah, I'm going to call them belts internally because that's just going to work better for my brain. Okay, so now buildable items, the buildable socket list. Element 0 is going to be a CPU socket, and for some reason doesn't have a thing. Why is that? Buildable item here. Why are you not showing the game object for the prefab? Oh, because that should not have an S on the end of it, should it? Nah, hold on. These should not have S's on them. Hold on. And these should have S's on them. Packard Bell? Well, Packard Bell? I don't remember. I don't think it had a name on it. There was lots of Hewlett Packard ones around at the time. My first one was an Acer Aspire, which was a Pentium 100 that had an overclock button on the front of it. You could overclock it to 133 megahertz so that you could play FIFA 95 on it properly. Because if you didn't overclock it, the game would play too slowly to work properly. It felt really bad. And if you overclocked it, it would go it. But after an hour, God, did that thing sound awful. Really wanted to set fire to itself. So, right, why can I not? Namespace buildable socket could not be found. What have I done here? What have I done here? Where's my enums? Where's my enums here? What did I do wrong here? Ah, yes, so you should have no S's on you. That's why. Boop. Boop. There we go. Save. There we go. Awesome. Right, okay. What are you moaning about? No, nope, that has no S on the end of it. Buildable socket. I'm going to get myself confused by what's going to have an S on it and what's not going to have an S on it. I should probably find a better one. So yeah, turbo mode. Yeah, it had a button on the front that had turbo written like in really bad rounded fonts onto it. It's like, oh, you push it and it goes much faster and it's fine. And I remember we got the computer. I got it for Christmas and it wouldn't work. You turn it on and it powers up and nothing displayed on the screen, and we was trying to figure out why it was happening. And there was obviously, being Christmas Day, nowhere was open, you couldn't find out about it. So we mucked about with it for a bit and I managed to pull the front cover off of it, and the reset switch was upside down. The reset switch had a little separate board with the button on it, so the front of the case would obviously push the button on the board, and it was upside down for some reason. So when you clip the front of the case on, it pushed the reset switch permanently. So as soon as you pulled it off, it started working. I was like, aha! So we turned that around and fixed that. That was brilliant. And we played many games in it, played things in it, played FIFA on it. And as we was playing FIFA, you had to exit to DOS. From Windows 95, you had to exit to DOS to load up FIFA. So it replaced the autoexec.bat file to load FIFA. But obviously back then I had no idea what any of those things were. It just worked and it was fantastic. And then you quit FIFA and it redoes things and it restarts and everything works fine. And one day we was in the middle of playing FIFA and a power cut. This would have been about a week into owning the machine. And of course, when we restarted the machine, it just rebooted back into FIFA over and over and wouldn't go back to Windows. So we would load into FIFA and then we'd exit FIFA and it would just quit to DOS. And I had no idea what to do at all. Not a clue. So I remember riding back into town to go to Curry's where we brought it from, Curry's Comet that no longer exists here in the UK anymore. It went into there to say to somebody that I didn't do it, and they said, "Oh, just put the recovery disc in." What's that? Didn't get one with it at all. And the guy was really nice. Yes, he helped out that. He went and found the thing when I obviously, we checked about the whole, brought a PC from them and explained it. And he went out and he got a floppy disk, and he came back and he made a recovery disk for me so that I could go home, put it in there, tell it to recover the auto exec so it would load Windows instead. And he also told me that you can just type like win.com when you're in DOS and it loads into Windows. So I was like, oh, okay. And he also gave me a book which it wasn't a user manual, it was something to do with DOS commands and stuff. And it was all simple stuff, just you can type dir to do a directory and cd ... to move back. I knew nothing about any of that stuff. But I read that book cover to cover about 20 times, and that was it. That's where it all started. And I just like, oh, you can do these things, and you can edit batch files, and you can do things and change stuff, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I remember having it so that from that point onwards, or well, probably about a week or so afterwards when I'd done that, when the computer you first turned the computer on, it would ask you, the auto exec would ask you, do you want to go to Windows or do you want to play FIFA? So it would just, because FIFA was the only decent game I had in it at the time. It wasn't until many months later where I got the first Grand Theft Auto. And that was an interesting thing because I had to learn how to do XMS and XMX memory. Was it XMX and S? No, hang on. That's Java, isn't it? XMX and SMS is memory. What's the old DOS virtual memory things? Was it XMX? No, XMX and XMS is Java, isn't it? What was the one? Overhead GTX. Yeah, overhead GTX. But Hi-Mem, that sounds right. I borrowed GTA off a friend at school, and I couldn't play it. It wouldn't play because I only had 16 megabytes of memory and it needed 24. And that's where I was like, oh, I remember reading about this in the book, and I was going through the book trying to figure things out and do so. I don't know why I confused it with XMS and XMX. That's Java. Yeah, and I had to use it, and you create a page file. Essentially, it was creating a page file, wasn't it? It was using the hard drive space for memory. And I created 16 megabytes of memory in there so I could have 32 megabytes of memory in my computer. And then GTA would load and play. And it was fantastic. But I could never finish. I finished Liberty City. I went over to, because it was San Andreas. You went over to San Andreas 2nd, which is weird that they changed the order of them later. But yeah, you went to San Andreas 2nd after that. And then you went to Vice. And I remember going to Vice City and the game would crash every time. It would just crash back to DOS, basically. It would look up and just fail on me every time. And I remember reading that was probably one of the limits of using the virtual memory to do that. The high memory, it was like, oh, okay. But that machine went through a lot. I did a lot of stuff on that machine. Mucking about with programming, with not programming. It had a thing called Acer Base, which had wasn't a visual scripting thing on it. It had a thing. It was like puzzle pieces, and you connect them together, and it would make. So it probably was an early visual scripting thing. Now I think about it. But you connect them together, and I remember it was similar to whatever the program was that made the turtle draw patterns on the floor, whatever that was called. that many schools had. It was very similar to that, and you could do stuff with it. And I learned a lot to do with that. yeah, I think I had the machine for about 4 months, and then another friend who was way more into computers than I was. He was doing fancy stuff. Turtle Draw. Yeah, it was Turtle Draw. You had the giant turtle that just had basically the 4 wheels, and you put a big marker in the center of it, and it draw patterns on a big bits of paper. It had one of those, but they looked like puzzle pieces, different color puzzle pieces, and you just drag them in. So you drag them into your you had like a window, you drag them in, and then the window on the right hand side would have like a virtual pen, and it would draw patterns based on what you did there. So it was a very early visual scripting thing, I guess. But I remember doing stuff with that, and then finding out that when you made it, you could look at the script. I didn't know at the time. I don't know what programming language it was, but you could look at the script and you could type stuff in instead of using the puzzle pieces to create the visual script in it. So I started typing it in and found that I could draw much better things instead of having the limited of, turn 20 degrees or whatever. I could turn 2 degrees and move, and it's like, and it would draw things. And yeah, I love that. It was like a virtual turtle draw thing. But yeah, would have been about Easter time. No, after Easter time. Would have been probably about 4 months after that. A friend of mine who was well into computers, he got a new computer and gave me his memory. And he says, you can just upgrade your computer with it. And I had no idea what he meant by upgrading the thing. And he came over and we took the machine apart, and he put his memory in my machine because it was compatible for that. And I went up from 16 to 32 gigabytes of memory, megabytes of memory, gigabytes, well, megabytes of memory. And never went back to play GTA because I found other games and stuff that I could do, and discovered that you could write BASIC, which was essentially Spectrum language, and I've done a lot of mucking about on the Spectrum. You could write BASIC onto it to do things. It was all very, very basic because it was basic, but and I started mucking about with that a lot. And then within a year, it was I'm going to build my own computer now. So yeah, and never looked back. I built them all since then. Built every single machine I've had. I haven't brought pre-built, and everyone that says, I'm looking to get a computer, no, buy bits. Don't do it pre-built. Buy bits, and yeah, much better, much more fun. Right, okay, buildables. There we go. Awesome. We now have the things here. Cool. Okay, right. Sim memory. This was, I want to say it was EDO. It was EDO RAM. And it had to be put in like SODIMMs are put in now. They're put in at an angle and snapped up. It was that, and they had obviously bigger. The ones that I had in my machine had 4 quite large chips on it, and the ones that my friend brought over had 8 chips on each one, but they were slightly smaller chips. I was like, oh, it's not the same. It won't. And he said, no. He was like, oh yeah, it will work. It'll be fine. And he just snapped it in and clicked it up, and it worked fine. So yeah, I was like, oh. And yeah, we just snapped on, turned the machine on, and bam, there was. It said 32 megabytes. I remember because when we did it, we turned it on, and it went 24. And it went, oh, one of them's not seated right, and he just moved it and put it back. Well more confident than I was with machines back then. So yeah, I was like, oh, and it worked. So I was like, oh, fantastic, it was EDO, because it was FPM before it, and I missed the FPM. And EDO was things, and then obviously SD come along, and Intel tried to do their weird RD RAM, which didn't work, and it was all. back when you could change voltages and stuff by moving jumpers and stuff around. So yeah, and that was the first time as well. When he put the memory in, that was the first time he showed me that the computers had BIOS that you could get into. I had no idea what a BIOS was. So just you turn the machine on, it works. I didn't have a clue. I was like, oh, this is something else I can play with. Don't play with those. Don't play with those if you don't know what you're doing. Highly recommend, don't play with the BIOS if you don't know what you're doing. The amount of times I had to reset my BIOS because I had no clue what half these settings did. I was like, change that. Oh no, that didn't work. Change that. Oh no, that didn't work. Right. Okay, so right, going to build items. So this is going to be a CPU socket, and I'm doing it again. We're gonna get nowhere. This is a CPU. This is going to want the CPU socket, and it's going to go into a CPU socket. Okay, and we don't have any belts yet. That's fine. Okie dokie. So I'm going to now go to the placement system. And let's create a wow. Hit the placement system. Boop. There you go. Okay. So what is this going to want to start with? We're going to want access to better fingers that can type properly. Game dot access to the buildables. I know that much. Because I'm going to want to go brain. I need to do that there. I want to make sure that the buffers are running before I do anything here. So I mean, back then that's what I did. I changed settings, something went wrong, I had to reset the BIOS. For modern day computers, if you don't know what you're doing in your BIOS, do not muck about with any advanced settings. You can hard brick your system. You can absolutely hard brick your system. You should be able to reset the BIOS and get things back, but it is actually physically possible to break hardware with BIOS settings. So yeah, I don't know of many people that have done it, but I know you can muck about with voltages, which means you can technically toast your memory and other things. So yeah, be very careful of that. Right, so for update, I want to have the buffers. The three buffers need to exist before this works. So I need the socket data buffer. I don't know if I need to tag them as dynamic buffers or not. I don't think so. Required for update. Component data buffer. Required for update. The belts data buffer. Yeah, don't play with voltages and stuff like this. There's stuff. If I go into the BIOS my machine, you can go into AMD CBS. And you can change some stuff in there that I even if you Google what the stuff is, Google does not give you answers on what half them settings do. So I'm like, I'm just not going to play with any of those things. The system works. I don't need to go into that sort of stuff. So yeah. Okay. So I also want to get access to the input manager because I want to hard code some key things here. So I'm going to need ghosts as well, aren't I? Going to need ghosts for things. That's fine. So, yeah, how do you how, whoa. Yeah, you can change a lot of stuff and the system just won't boot, and then you reset it and it's fine. But yeah. Generally, unless you're really doing hardcore overclocking, just let the motherboard do the thing. Unless you've got an Asus motherboard that wants to fry your processor, then it doesn't matter what you do in it, because it'll still fry your processor because it overrides stuff that you typed in there. So. So, keyboard.current. Oh, you have to do the set key, don't you? So, let's do the 1 key. Digit 1 key. Is that right? Hold on. Dot 1. Number pad, yeah. Digit 1 key. Dot. Is pressed. So if we push the 1 key, we are going to want to let's compile. Void, not voice, void. Check for input. Okay, so right. So up here, entity ghost. And then here, ghost equals entity null. Make sure that's reset out. If ghost does not equals entity null, then check for input. Okay, and then down here, if we push the 1 key, we are going to make the entity, the ghost entity, be our need to get access to the buildables. I need to access the buffer. I need to go look elsewhere. Oh, I need to build the buffers as well. In part of the older IRQ comment, yes, yeah. Always do with sound cards. You have to set the IRQ and DMA and stuff for your sound card, depending on what sound card you have. And some games used to do the whole. You go through it, and Red Alert had such a fantastic thing. It was testing sound hardware, and you could change the settings. It were testings, and change it back. And Constructor had a really good one as well. You do it and click test, and you get some go. Hello, can you hear me? Like, yes, I can. Awesome. Right. Okay. So we want to get the entity. So I want to go. Socket buffer equals socket buffer, paste, and then this wants to be the component buffer, and this wants to be the belt buffer. And this wants to not be socket, this wants to be component buffer, and then belt buffer. There we go. Okay. And now we want to go through all of these and just do things here. So we want to go through that one. And we want to go socket buffer dot add new socket. Wait a minute, hold on. Go back. Buildable item data buffer. So new buffer, and then we want to go whatever your first thing is. Nope, not gonna name. Authoring dot buildable socket list I dot name prefab. Yep, I call it prefab. Should be called entity. Prefab is fine. Prefab is fine. Prefab will get entity buildable socket list dot prefab. Like that. Okay, cool. And then we just basically copy this data 3 times, and we go component buffer, belt, and then in this one I need to do another thing, which is socket equals dot socket. There we go, that builds all of our buffers. Excellent. Okay, so that adds everything to it. Fine. Good. Okay. So if we push 1, okay, and you're already checking if the ghost is valid, okay, and then here I want to go keyboard current dot escape key dot is pressed. Null. Now I need to actually destroy the I need to destroy the entity before I null it out, don't I? Which means I'm going to probably want to bring my destroy thing. We can't just add a component and license can we? No, we'd have to use the entity command buffer for that. Okay. Right, let me grab my destroy script from my previous game system because that's just going to be easier for me. Trying to ditch my delivery driver job in favour of game dev in 2025. I would love to. It's entirely unlikely because at the rate I'm going, this game won't be released until 2027. So yeah. But I would love to be able to not necessarily quit the job, but cut back on the job and do more streaming and game dev and playing games and other bits and pieces. I would absolutely love to do that. Do something more, something, not necessarily something more I enjoy, because if you make it a job, then you will lose the enjoyment for it. But something more where I'm working for me rather than working for somebody else and making somebody else rich, basically. Not about getting rich, but more about just, you know, fed up of basically being in a situation where at any point they can go, you know what, no, goodbye, be gone. No. Let's go back to Unity. And come on, boom. Index exception was out of range with the thing. Why? Can I not do that in an iSystem? Can I not call keyboard.current? Oh, okay, so keyboard.current is a managed system, so I can't do that. Well, that sucks. Right, hold on then. Yeah, the player input system is system based. Maybe I need to do all the player inputs here and just use buffers to send stuff to other scripts. So I don't have to worry about, so the placement system can stay as an iSystem. Yeah, shall we do that? So let's go down here. Void testing the keyboard input. Let's go actually keyboard input testing, which means I want to create a new not input action, but I want to create a new buffer, which is going to be how do I send a key in? How would I send a letter? Is that valid? Is character a bittable type? Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. Right, what do you mean about index was out of range? That's because you don't have anything. Let's add that and then just leave that as blank. I guess char is valid. Okay. Player input. I need to go to the player input baker, add buffer, key input buffer, the entity, boop, there you go, and then the player input system. We will copy this and paste it here, and then we will go just using var buffer, get buffer, key input buffer, then add new key input buffer, I need to find out what key I pressed though, don't I? Here, if keyboard board.current dot digit 1 key is pressed with a capital I, keyboard input for testing. Can I just literally put a 1 in here? No. How do I convert that to a char? I can just cast it like that. There we go. Boom. Okay, so we'll send 1 in. Okay, and I can send any letter I want in using this same stuff. So if we push whatever that button, then we do that. That's fine. And we'll copy this as well, and I'm going to say if digit 2 is pressed, then we're going to send in 2. And if escape is pressed, then I want to be able to send in the escape key, but A does not exist. Whoa. Can I convert string to char? It's not going to work. What are the bittable types? What can we send in? Apparently char is not bittable. No, so this isn't going to work anyway. So I have to create a new buffer for when we actually change this to be a thing. So tell you what, we will send in instead an int. We'll do it this way. 1, 2, then escape is going to be 0. Okay. Cool. There you go. Bottom. Right. Okay. And then in here, we can't use keyboard.escape. And we can't use keyboard but here. That's fine though. What we can do is we can I don't need to check for input down here now, unfortunately, because I need to do it in the on update thing. Because of no, we don't. We want to be checking for input. Okay. And then down here, we want to go and check the buffer. So we need to get the buffer. How do we get the buffer? Let's go back to our previous camera controller system, and we come here and we grab the movement dynamic buffer like that. Okay, don't need you now. Let's get rid of those. So boom, dynamic buffer, and this is going to be key input buffer. And then we do it for each, don't we? Yep. For each key input buffer, data in key input buffer. Do you know what? That can be taken out of there and put into here. If data dot key equals 0 and ghost does not equals null, for ghost, and ghost equals nc.null. Okay. I could use a switch statement here for this, I just realised. Let's do that instead. Switch data.key. Oh god damn it, I've forgotten how these work. C# switch. It's a brackets. It's a brackets like that. Case 0. If ghost does not equals null, losing the plot. Destroy entity and okay, and then break. Okay. X1. Break. Case 2. Break. Default. Break. That doesn't matter. Okay. So case 1 is going to be repeat the same code over and over and over, aren't I? Because if it's 1 and the ghost is existing, then now we can have a second. Whoa. Let's compile, void, set up, ghost, so in here, if ghost does not equals entity.null, then we want to destroy the ghost, and then we want to go ghost equals I need to put some old code so that I can figure out how to instantiate stuff, because I've forgotten how to do it. Spawn paddle. I need to send the oh really? I keep sending the references around. Ghost will equals state.entity-manager.instantiate. I need to get the dynamic buffer. See, the problem is here, I need to get 2 different buffers depending on my input. Because we split them up, didn't we? Yes, we did. This is why I should have left the builder bottoms in one thing. But that wouldn't help anyway. We still have to get the buff ball, the buffer. So the yeah, buildable socket list. So if I push 1, I want to get the socket. If I push 2, I want to get something else, which means I can't just send the ID in here. That isn't going to work. Could I do? So do an int. Can do an int too. This is probably a really bad thing to do. I want to send in other stuff rather than just relying on making sure the numbers are in the correct places. But for now, we're testing to make things work. Okay, so I want to get if the ghost thing that we'll break the ghost thing, we're going to do another switch statement here. Switch underscore id dot x case one. Case 2. Okay, and then default will be destroy the ghost again. So if something goes wrong, then destroy the ghost. It's fine. If ID X is 1, that means we pushed. So we're sending the item to ID X. So case 1 will be setup ghost state comma new into one comma one. Oh, needs to be ref. Two comma one. Okay, and then down here we want to get ourselves the dynamic buffer. So this is going to be this one here. So we're only going to have the one. So it's not key input buffer. This is going to be the bootable socket data buffer. This is going to be the socket buffer, bootable data socket buffer there. And then we will ghost will be instantiate sockety socket buffer dot prefab, and that should be socket buffer 0. Right? Okay, and then case 2 should not be the socket buffer. This should be the buildable component data buffer. Buffer does not have 3 F's in it. Okay, so this will send in 1 0 and 2 0, and then this should not be this. This should be underscore ID dot y. There we go. Okay, so we send in the ID. So the first one is the what place we are. So the first one's going to be socket. The second one's going to be component. The third one will be belts. There you go. Okay, so the third one belts. So we instantiate whatever is there, and basically, if we're setting up a ghost, the first thing we do is destroy the old ghost, and this is null. So I need to copy my destroy entity script over. Come on. Oh, come on. Hey. Destroy entities, I think, yeah. Boop. Boop. Create a new entities item sheet, which is destroy. Destroy entity system. Boop. And that will throw a wobbly straight away. Yep. Boom. Destroy. I'm just going to actually call that entity. Destroy entity system. Should be entities. Okay. Why does this keep shrinking down as well? Entity right entity system. Yes, not that it makes any difference because we haven't actually done anything like that. So we want to also in here come on, create a new entity component data, which is the entity data. Destroy. And this literally wants to have a these two, and these are double public timestamp, public and delay. Okay, and then in here I'm going to literally copy this whole thing like so. Oh, like that. And in simulation, don't destroy stuff at the end or the beginning. It doesn't matter. No, we want to destroy stuff at the end, don't we? Yeah. Yeah. And doesn't this want to be updated after? No, I didn't do that. I never updated afterwards. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Cool. Save. Save. So, right. So, yeah. So this basically, if we have anything that has the destroy entity data on it, so we've added something to be destroyed, we create a new job. the time, and then the job basically goes, hey, if our timestamp plus our delay is greater than our current time, then we return. If not, that means the time has passed enough, so we destroy the entity and move on. There we go. That's a very simple thing that I can hopefully now leave and never come back to again. So in the placement system here, I want to go add a, oh, do I need a command buffer for this, or can I just add a component? How do I add a component? State.entity manager add a component. I can add a component. Post on new. Okay, and then we need to reference our entity system, well, which is not spelled correctly. What's wrong with this? Add component data. Yep, boom. And if we don't send any settings into it and we just leave it blank, that means the timestamp and the time passed is 0, which means it would instantly destroy the thing on the next time round it actually comes to it, which should be at the end of the frame. And then we reset our reference to it so we don't mess up and read anything again with it. That's why I don't want to use a command buffer. I just want to use the entity manager directly there. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Save. Unity. Hi. Play. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. I don't know where it's going to instantiate. I haven't set anything up for that. Hopefully, so if I push 1, it does, but it fails because of an invalid structure change. Oh, I know why. Oh, I think I know why. I am not. Clearing the buffers. Might be why we might be trying to re-instantiate something or do something here. Not sure. Might need the entity component system for this, the entity command buffer. Bum, ba, bum. Come on. Index out of range, dynamic buffer length 0. Okay, well this is the only place we're using the oh, hang on, I'm using this wrong. No, I'm not. No, I'm not using this wrong. Or am I using? I might be using this wrong. What I am not doing is clearing the key input buffer. Okay. You're getting a dynamic buffer. No, I don't want. No, we don't want to clear these ones. No. Yeah, I don't want to clear those buffers. Those buffers are stored there for a reason. They're holding our information. These are dynamic buffers. These ones shouldn't be dynamic buffers. They should be... Yeah, that was a mistake. I didn't mean to clear that. That's okay. I should have cleared the input buffer, but not the other ones. I don't know how to get a buffer that's read-only. Can I get a buffer that's read-only? One. Nope, still throwing a riffle. Object dispose exception. Attempted to access buffer type handler. What now? Why? Oh, you spawned two of them. Why you spawned two of them? Really don't want to go for a for each, do I? There might be multiple pressed down. Alright, okay, let's go back to the input system and fix that. Play input system. Dot was. Press this frame. So you do that, and then if you case 0, you just reset the ghost, and then you break out of this anyway, and then we clear the buffer at the end after the for each loop. You should only ever have one buffer in you, so you should probably be actual data, not a buffer. But should make a truck delivery driver game next. I would love to be able to make something like something a bit like SimCity or City Skylines or something, but a resource management version of it. So you know, you'd hold the chop down trees, you put trees down into logs, into planks, and then planks are used to build buildings, and then people come and move into your places that way. So instead of just going, hey, I want to, you just zone somewhere for housing, and housing builds, you go, no, I want to put down like a house here, and it needs this much wood, so I shall then go and get the wood and build the wood, and then somebody will move into the house, and then they can become a lumberjack, and then later, if you've got to move to elsewhere, we might need someone who can operate machinery to dig things, and you know, so you start off kind of in first person mode, building the first hut and getting some villager to move in, and eventually you end up in, you are on top of, you are on SimCity style. You end up SimCity style, and you're building roads and doing things, and yeah. But everything is proper resource management. So okay, CPU socket did that. Press 0. Nothing happened. Press 2 and something broke. Object dispose exception. Neither of you have the tag, because I haven't done that, have I? Okie dokie, it's 2:30. I should probably give up in a moment as well. Can I do this? Take it easy. We shall be back on maybe Sunday, maybe not. Sim delivery driver, yeah. Another one that I wouldn't mind doing is you've got like restaurant managers and stuff like that. I'd like to do an RPG pizza place. So like with Stardew Valley, you know, you inherit a farm. You inherit a pizza place that's got some plants growing out the back of it, and you cultivate the plants and make some pizza. And you got to buy some stuff in, like buy the flour and things in, till you can get stuff going on there. But also you can venture into the forest and fight creatures and plants to get rare materials, and then later you could hire some adventurers to go into the forest to get your materials for you instead, and you build up a pizza delivery place. I don't know why that was something that came into my head ages ago, but right. So I push 0 and it doesn't destroy the thing. It's not getting the tag on it. I press 2 and it spawns a second CPU socket and then fails. Unity native text access to buffer type handler failed because of structural changes. Why? What has become invalid from structural changes? Type handler has become invalid from structural changes, but what changed the structure? All in the libraries. None of that is in my actual code. Also, why is this not firing properly? Why are you not? It's got to be you, isn't it? Actually, no, because I'm pressing 0 on the key. So when I press right, I don't need that one anymore. Sorry. When we press 0 on it, it doesn't. Explain. Okay, right. If I press 2, we still get a CPU socket, which is wrong. But okay, that's fine. There is our CPU socket. If I push 0, you are not. If I push 0, for some bizarre reason, you are not doing this. Now, see, if I push 2 again, it fails with, it spawns 2 things and goes terribly, terribly wrong. Why is it not adding the stuff to the previous one? Is that because of this? Let me get rid of that. Is it that it's setting it to null before the entity manager can do the thing? Or are you not valid to add entities to it? I don't know. Aaron, hello, good evening. Hope you are having a good day. Okay, so the state.entity manager cannot delete the right. Okay, so I need to use a command buffer for that. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. It instantiates it fine, but I can't add component data to it apparently. So I need an entity command buffer. You're just deving yourself? Awesome. Probably a lot more successfully than I am. I keep completely forgetting what I'm doing halfway through doing it. Oh, I don't use entity command buffer in here. I don't use it in the player input system either. I don't think I've used entity command buffer anywhere at the moment. Let's yoink that one. Put that down here. Griffin, your first game ever for the last 3 years? Nice. Nice. I did my very first game that I actually finished was a clone of the old Atari game Breakout, which was more of a learning thing than anything else. It was more just to learn the Unity dot system. But right. I need to, if you are there, then we want to create here, and this wants to be begin. Okay. And then ECB dot add component. Host, comma, new, destroy entity data. Okay, let's try that. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, come on, Unity. You can do it. You've only been running for about 5 hours. Play. Bum, 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 bum. One CPU socket. Doop. Okay, push 0. Nope. Okay. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Why is that? Why are you not doing that? This is not firing. Debug.log 1. Boop. And then come down here. Boop. 2. Okay, let's see which one fires what, when, where, and how. Play. Bum 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 bum. You are taking a long time to get into the actual editor now, so right, so go to the console and push 1, nothing happens. Push 0, it's not firing. Right, so it is not firing. Okay, that's either the player input system is not firing. That's because it's not 0, it's the escape key, you idiot. It's the escape key. Oh. Oh. I don't know. What silly hedgehog decided to make it the escape key instead of 0? Bum, ba, bum. E. Okay, alright, cool. So now if I push 1 again. Oh. Cool. Right, that is working, but it's not working. It's working. It's working because I pushed the wrong button, but that's okay. However, case 2. Should be getting the component buffer, right? Component buffer. The prefab is a CPU. What? Why would you instantiate this one when we want to go to this one? We're definitely sending a 2 in. Right, we're sending a 2 in. So we're sending a 2 in, we get a 2. Case 2. You set up Ghost with number 2. So number 2 does this, and then we go case 2. Bootable component buffer. Right, what's happening here? It's got to be this one because this is firing. This is definitely a CPU, and this is a CPU socket. So you are getting the wrong thing in here, okay? Debug.log. It's a dog key. Come on, the project is not all that big. Why do you take so long to rebuild? Right. Okay. Let's trace down where this is going wrong here, and then we will call it a night, I think. Okay, so if I push 1, we get a 1. Push escape, it deletes it. Push 2, get a 2, but it still spawns a CPU socket. Right? Okay, so this one is working. So let's send in this one and see why. So we're getting a 2, which means we get a case 2, which means this should be firing. Bum. Come on. Right. 2. We get an int 2, which is 2-0. We are checking for the id.x. If the case is 2, you should be getting the buildable component data buffer. And then you should be extended from that component buffer. That makes no sense. Hold on. I'll tell you where it might be going wrong. Yep. There. That's what it is. It was spawning the correct thing. I just copied the wrong prefab. So that was the thing. It was loading the wrong prefab. Okay. It was working fine. Come on. This is really going slowly. Anyone there? Anyone there? Right. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yay! 3 won't work because 3 doesn't exist yet. Ooh, we have a socket. We have a CPU. I need to move them depending on where the mouse is looking. But yeah. Okay. So it is working. It is working, and we can push escape to delete them. So there we go. Awesome. Cool. Right. Cool. We need to adjust those so they can actually be ghosts, which means we need to create ghosts of all of our prefabs. Technically. So I need a CPU socket. I need to just basically duplicate it and put a different shader on it to make it see-through. And I also want to do some fancy stuff as when you move them around. They wobble a bit, but that's going to be for way in the future. Right now, we're going to leave this because I am starting to yawn, and it is, in fact, 10 to 3 in the morning, so I think I need some sleep. Yeah. Okay. This is going extremely slowly, and I think it's going extremely slowly because I'm very not consistent in can't make my mind up a lot of things. So yeah, but we'll persist, and it will eventually get there. So yeah, okie dokie. So we shall leave this one here. We shall come next time. Carry on from there. I don't know about Sunday or not. If not, it'll be Monday. We will see you then. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed this one. Hope to see you again in the next one, and until then, as always, have fun.